So
we're back again.
Yes.
So, where are we now? Where's step
Yes,
number
we have the model.
4?
Yes.
Step number 4.
Step number 4. We have the model already.
We have constructed a model.
Yes, we have
beautiful model.
project, stakeholder, criteria, everything. We have alternatives and so strategies at the end. This is the next step before entering into metrify our
system and to be able to. Well, we recommend that you really sit back and think about risks. Risk handling can be a lot, and I think you know a lot about risk as well. But in this step, when we talk about the modeling, is to reconsider these alternatives as we now are going to choose in between. Could they add some new risks?
You're talking about operational risk, basically, and
basically operational risks. And as a very concrete and perhaps a little bit unfair example, but when Germany decided to go for this energy change and all of a sudden drop all the nuclear power, instead they introduced Russian gas. If in that stage, when you took that decision, you should also see, are there any risks to that? Could we be dependent on Putin instead of the nuclear power risk and so on? So in this stage, you need to think about these alternatives if you have, and sometimes you can handle that by introducing another criteria.
Asking more stakeholders, maybe?
Asking more stakeholders and see these alternatives as we are considering now, are they actually introducing more risks? Yes,
and maybe it is also important to understand how different actions and risks are in connection. I mean, what is the relation between different risk categories? What is driving what? How, I mean, if you eliminate or take out one of the risks, how it will cascade
down
your action,
right? And one risk could feed another risk. So risk is a complex issue all by itself. And I think that we should get back and dedicate a series of talks about risk as such. But in this model building, we are not actually going to introduce risk trees or risk management as such. So here we are only looking about risks, and we have one criteria here as could be described as risks as introduced, and that's actual fatalities, actual death.
In this model,
yes. And that is, of course, could be considered a risk, and we could actually introduce more criteria like that as a risks. Well, one risk could be riots if you do certain things.
Well, actually, basically, every decision situation has risk elements that you have to take into consideration. Not necessarily fatality, not necessarily something that stops the show, but still there are consequences of actions or even not acting that has consequences that can be taken into consideration as a risk.
Definitely, and do nothing is most of the time quite a big risk.
Yes, exactly.
So that's why we like to add this four steps to look for dangers of risk or mishaps and so on.
And this is also, I think, a good opportunity to, as you said in the beginning, to rethink whether our decision model or decision situation, decision context, if you like, is detailed enough to be able to roll out a wise decision.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
So it gives you a chance of kind of iterative thinking, so you can go back anytime and discuss with your colleagues, discuss with your family even, or discuss with whomever you want. What is their opinion? Is there anything else that they see what you don't see?
Yes.
Right?
And the beautiful thing is here that here we have this sort of model as you can look at and see if you look at this, do you see anything here that we need to add and so on. Even here maybe that you will add a stakeholder because they have a totally different view of it.
Yes, exactly.
I normally show a very simple example of selecting a car, where I have selected all the criteria, and it was quite easy to select the car. And when I did run the model, my wife reminded on that she also wanted to have a say, so I had to introduce a second stakeholder. And not as a surprise, she had different criteria and different opinions. At the end there, the delicate matter there is then to balance who had the stronger say, my wife and me.
Okay.
And you could easily say perhaps it should be equal. I didn't end up there.
Yeah, okay. Right. And actually this is one of the, basically the strongest uniqueness of our methodology is that it handles exact mathematically detailed information and preferential inputs, right? So you can easily say that, okay, I like it or I don't like it so much. This can be introduced together with, I don't know, facts like prices or performance, or, I mean, coming back to your car model. But it probably
and
depends.
I think that's very important too,
Yes.
because in any decision you will have to mix qualitative and quantitative information.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem in most of the mathematical modeling.
Yeah.
So you need to compare, like price is one thing and quality is very difficult to put a price on.
Yeah, sure.
As such. And sometimes also it is also, as we will show in the next step here, it's also important to show your uncertainty, because it's a price. The price may not be a fixed price. It may be a huge range. The huge range is the more your uncertainty is.
Exactly.
And that actually tells something about the model as well. So we should not forget that. So we will see more about that when we move into
looking forward to
step number 5.
Yes,
and that's
which will be
that will be about the ranking and the putting in the metrics. Now we're going to evaluate the various scenarios, alternatives, using the criteria.
All right. Good. Okay, folks, stay with us. We are coming back with the metrics, with the ranking stuff. Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye now.